I'm imagining that you've done this and you've teared off your walls, the original plasterboard that was on there. Then you put the insulation back. You've cleaned the wall, got rid of any nails or screws that are sticking out, and you're ready for the drywalling part. This is the part where I have your back because I'm gonna show you the best way to do this, but also I'm gonna give you the best tips and tricks so that you don't fail for your first time. And so it's easier than you think. So first thing first, I like to have a look around, have a look at the walls that I'm working with. Whatever wall is the easiest to put on last is where I like to finish. Try to avoid a double internal at any cost. I'm gonna measure to the metal right there, and that there is 845, taking off 5 mil. I like to double check the bottom, see if we got the same sort of thing, and no, we don't. Right there, we got 845 instead of 850 at the top. I'm just gonna go down to 840, and you have to keep in mind that this is gonna get tiled all the way up. It's the same process if you're doing a bathroom, if it's gonna get tiled all the way up, but this is a laundry. But you'll do the same thing if it was a bathroom. Yeah, we're gonna cut this piece, right? You can use a lot of different types of plasterboard in a different way, but in this particular case, we're using blue board. We call it blue board wet area plasterboard. So everything I do, I follow the guidelines of the materials. They recommend that you don't glue where you're gonna put tiles. Instead, put a lot more screws. So in this particular case, we're gonna go every 1/5, and that's where we're gonna put the screw. So here I'm gonna start marking that so that it looks professional, and it's exactly 150 millimeters apart. I know I put the lines on it, but I only did it to show you, right? Can't screw every 150 because there's nothing to screw to here. I can only screw to the timber that I got on that door right there. I just put them on there just to show you, but we'll definitely do that on that wall. Put your blocks down so it's not on the ground. How do you do this part right here? You can get the window cutter and do all that. I'm just not gonna do that, okay? I just don't feel like it. It's too noisy. So what I'll do instead, I'm gonna measure this and I'm gonna cut that out by hand. Same thing over here. You wanna take off 5 millimeters. So I'm gonna go 845. And if you have a look up there, you'll notice that the ceiling is already done. So what we actually do is we hang the ceiling a little bit past, and we'll bring our plaster, our wall plaster, just right next to the ceiling. Then when it comes to put the tiles, you're not gonna see the top of that plaster. So then you don't need to tape around that square set, and you don't need to go too tight to the ceiling because there's just no need. The tile is gonna go tight to the ceiling, right? 1075, yeah. So obviously that already is out by 10 millimeters from this distance to that distance. It's already out by a lot, right? Let me give you a tip real quick. And you just wanna get the distance from there to there, but you can't get this end from here to here because this piece is gonna go all the way up. But I don't know how high this is gonna be. So I'll show you a tip outside when I go outside of what you should do when you have a situation like that. In a situation like the one that I just showed you, this is what you do. Mark your window at 845, 1665. I got my window. I'm gonna get my height right there at 740. I'm gonna get my 1080 as well. I'm gonna come this side and get 1060. I'm gonna come my full length, come and slice it. If this was going on a big angle like this, right, and it's going like that, if I was to do my 1080 over there, it's not gonna be the same. So what you do instead, if you're trying to get like a rake measurement, but you couldn't get the end of the rake, this is what you do instead. So I got my 1080, my 1065. I'm gonna get a choke line. You need a level as well, but you definitely need a choke line. So I'm gonna put my choke line on my 1065. Got my 1080 right there. Instead of trying to get my 1080 this side, I'm gonna get my 1080 right there. And I wanna make sure that this choke line is touching out 1080. And choke the choke line. And if I was to measure that right there, it's not gonna be 1080 anymore. It should be like 1090 or something like that. 1090, 1095. Right, so that's a little quick tip. So I got my T-square mark right there. I'm gonna get my knife and cut this piece right there. And all I'm doing is I'm holding my tape onto my knife like that. And I got my measurement. I see my knife onto the measurement. Let the tape do whatever I want. I see the tape wherever it's meant to be sitting. Lock that in and just scribe that through. And don't let the knife pull the tape. And that should be exactly on that measurement right there. Cut this piece right here. 900, 10. Now I'm gonna snap it. Get the saw. So this is the old school way of doing this, and it takes a little bit longer, but sometimes you don't need all them tools, man. Snap that up. I'm aware that you're probably not gonna have a huge screw gun like the one that I have, but you can definitely use a drill. Now, all we gotta do from there, chuck that guy right on there, and it should fit. Nothing is guaranteed when you're doing renovation, especially a house that was built in the 50s or the 70s. This is a very hard wood and it's old. It's not exactly sitting like it was when they first built this house. And just screw it. I've marked the ceiling so I know where to screw. Otherwise, you'll be lost. Technically, you screw the rest of the wall every 150, make it look good, right? Check your screws, make sure everything is right, and then you come to this step right here. Every bathroom that you do, every laundry that you do, there's a good chance that there's gonna be a pipe. So this is how you measure and cut out a pipe the best way possible. Keep in mind that everything is not straight in this house, okay? So when I'm measuring a pipe, like I said before, you always go tight to the place that you've hung. You don't wanna start measuring from a different corner, because when you come to put this piece on, you're supposed to go tight to the other plaster so that your internals are nice and tight. First thing you gotta do is you measure from where you're gonna go tight to, which is this internal over here that I've hung. The first thing you do, yeah, go tight to your place right there, and you gotta make sure the tape is nice and straight. And if you didn't know that, that's a problem, okay? And you wanna get the center of the pipe. So whatever measurement it is in the center of the pipe is exactly what you wanna get. Is at 1227, 1379. Like I said, you go tight to wherever you're gonna go tight to. In this case, I'm gonna go tight to the ground. And I'm also gonna be on a 10mm block like I did on the first piece. So I'm gonna put my 10mm block on the ground and I'm gonna measure off that block. That's what I'm gonna go tight to. Right there, we got 375. Here, we got the same thing. Window is the exact same thing, go tight to it. Except, window is a little bit different. They're gonna put a nakatrave around this window because they have to hide this funny business over here. Because there's gonna be something here, it doesn't have to be a tight measurement. We can take off 10mm. The trimming that they put around there is usually 45 and up. I say that it's 1105 tight. I'm gonna go 1100. Write that down so you don't forget. So I'm gonna measure to the end of that timber there. I'm gonna measure that there, and there we got 2085. Same thing, come down off the block, 1025. Real easy, man. Write everything you just measured down on a piece of something so that you go and cut it. Of course, 1100 for the window, 2085. The year I'm gonna be 86. Hopefully I'm not dead by then. I've got my length cut over here, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the measurement. I know which one is my internal from where I've measured from. That's very important, because a lot of the time you're gonna measure from the wrong side and make a huge mistake. This is gonna be my internal, and the best way to know which one was your internal, you just have to remember what hand you measured from. So if it was my right hand side, it doesn't matter whether the plasterboard is this way or the other way. You wanna make sure you measure from your right hand side. You won't get that confused, because by the time you come back and you take it inside and you put it on the wall, you'll be all good. I got all my measurements right there, and I'm gonna go ahead and mark my measurement. Coming from the right hand side, which is where I measured from, 1227. 1379, right on the money, 85, right? 375. This is the window right here. Two pipes. This is one of the pipes right here. Right there is my second pipe. Window. 1100. But before I do anything else, I'm gonna trace all my lines, 150mm lines where I'm gonna screw. The same thing over here. This is a normal drill that you probably have already, and this is just a hole saw that you probably don't have, but it'll be good to have. This can go through all sorts of things, including plasterboard. This bit works just fine for the pipes that I do. This makes the process a lot faster and neater and easier. Of course, you can definitely get your knife out and cut that hole for that pipe. So of course, right on that line right there. Now of course, we go put this piece up. Real nice. Get in a situation where it's too tight on the bottom, what I'll do is I'll get a piece of plaster. So if I was to just kick that in with my foot, it's gonna break that corner, and I don't want that to break. So I'm gonna use a bit of plaster using a nice straight force, and it should go in nice and even without breaking. Mark your ceiling. I've showed you this tip before, it's very handy. I'm gonna cut a bit of plasterboard like this, right? Snap it, slice it, cut it on the corner like that, nice straight cut. Get rid of the paper that's on the face of the plaster, and then just mark your studs just where they are right there. And I promise you, you'll thank me later for that tip. And you should probably follow for that tip alone, right? So now I got all my marks up there. Instead of remeasuring everything, I already know my measurement. You just need the height of whatever you're doing. Right there, we got 640. Of course, take off 5 to 10mm, 1075 right there. I'm gonna go 1065. Yeah, just the measurement, 1100, but we're gonna go 10, 20, 85. The year I'm gonna be 86. Hopefully I'm still alive, eh? What do you think, Lavi? You think I'll be dead, eh? You think I'll be dead? Nah. 2430. 2430 seems alright. Of course, I'm gonna cut it. Yo, what's up? I'm back. And I've done this wall. Just spit it up because it's a repetitive process. I didn't have to explain everything, right? Just do the exact same thing you did here. Do it up there, do it here. And do the exact same thing you did over there, over here. Now what we're left with is the last piece, but then also the little strips that I needed to cut. I've cut my strips already. All I done there was I measured, take off 5mm and just strip like I showed you how to strip before. This one is for here. This one is for the top up there. Right, now all you gotta do from there is grab the piece, lift it up, just like that, and screw it. Right, that on, lift it up a bit. You can do a big stand up all the way through, or you can have two pieces. It doesn't matter. It's getting tight all the way up, so it's not really a big deal. Right, 580. Gonna double check, see if the top is the same. Yeah, 580. 575 on the top piece. Do both of 580. Take these two pieces inside. Come with me, let's go. Alright, I feel generous, so I might even start with the top piece and just screw it. Measure from the ground onto the actual ground, 1060. Just slice that piece. Lift it up to the rib bay. Now look at this, right? There's nothing supporting this joint, right? Because of the cavity slider, the door's gonna be in there. So what we do for something like that is we get a small piece of plaster like this, right? Make sure that it's gonna get in there nice and easy. Just cut that through. Get a little bit of glue, of course. And I'm gonna sit it right in that timber up there. So I wanna make sure it's not on the face of that timber. All right, get it right up in there. Just like that, push it against the joint. It's not gonna stop the door from sliding in and out because it's not flush with this. And once the glue dries, you get a more stabilized and stronger joint. Gonna slide that in there. I'm having doubts. This is just so that it's packed out a little bit better. So you've hung the plasterboard, okay? That was probably the hardest thing because of the renovation. I think this is the easiest part. Keep in mind that everything I'm about to do right now gets covered with the tiles. So you're not gonna see anything. They recommend you only do level 3 finish, right? So that just taping that internal, that joint, maybe doing the screw holes, and you're all good, and that's it. So it doesn't have to look pretty. It just has to get filled. Easier for the next guy, right? And all I'm pretty much doing is I'm gonna get that gear, check it on. I'm using a taping compound, so this is not actually base. Just check that mat on there. I made a little mistake over here, nothing serious. I'm gonna fill this, do the same thing down here. Get this gear to there. Check that paper tape on there. Cut it, repeat that everywhere. We all make mistakes, right? Check that tape on that mistake. Push that tape in. I'm really pushing most of the gear up. So now that tape is in the rib bay or recess joint. Once it's in it and you're happy with the push, I usually get a little bit more gear. And I go over that just to feel it. Right. Go over flat, clean the sides. Anyways, that's it right there. So that's all the joints. Now for the internals. Internals are a little bit different. What you do with internals, right? Get your tape, crease that tape real quick. Once you're done, see that tape in that corner up there and just go there. Get wherever you need to go, right at the bottom, take it off the ground. Once you're happy, I'll crease the bottom of that. Just cut that, put that against the other bit, and you get 3 more of that. You just quickly finish creasing the rest. All you do from there, suck that gear on there, man. It's real rough work. As long as it's on there, you're all good. You don't want to see any plaster, otherwise it's a bubble. So you actually need that tape to stick on there, otherwise whatever you're trying to do right now is useless. Get that tape that you creased before, chuck that in there, sit it down, bring it up here as well. Cool. You gotta clean it up now, make sure that it's sitting right into the corner. Go from the middle, come up. And you're just pushing that gear out like you did with the joint. Once I get to this stage, I actually pull the tape a little bit more before I go again. And I just finish it up. Get a little bit of gear like this, it helps you slide a little bit better. Just like that. Obviously, do the same thing over here. Just filling the part where I went over that joint. You can also get the screw holes. That's it. That's how I do a room like this real fast and easy. It's gonna be messy at the end, but we got it done. And I'm happy with that for what it was. And there you have it, adios and peace out. Let me know what you think in the comments, G.